The penalty.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Associated Guest. I, as always, am your host, Alpha Animus, here on the Bear in Mind channel. And today, I know we've talked about it a lot, but yeah, Hasan Piker is very likely going to jail. I know Nux and Pegasus have made a lot of videos on this for the last year and a half, 2 years, roughly. I think that's when the Legendary series started. But yeah, it looks like it's actually going to happen. And this time for something kind of extra stupid. He's said that he wasn't going to go to Cuba for the very reason that he will probably go to jail. But I think he was relying on Code Pink's Chinese backers to help get him off. And it doesn't look like it's going to work. At the very least, he's going to pay a very, very, very large fine and probably spend just a little bit of time in jail. But can you imagine the internet with 6 clean months, Hasan free? We'll get into that more in just a little bit. Also, Western and Japanese developers are shaken in their tiny, tiny little what do you call them? Thongs. Those wooden toggles that they wear. And why? Because of Chinese and Korean developers, people who actually are here to give us good products with good stories. Most of the ones that they make are either based on our own real or fake mythology, or their own real and fake mythology, which is going to be fantastic. And then, depending on how much time we have left, depending on how much I go on and on, which from this intro will probably, I'll go on a lot today. I'm very talkative. We'll either go on to a new immigration rule change or the top 5 cringiest moments since the summer of love of 2020. Let's get into it.
That are associated with breaking those laws. Hasan Piker may be going to jail or getting fined.
Yay!
But I'm okay with all of this. And you're probably asking why, like free speech, can't you do what you want? Well, no, there are certain rules that you do have to abide by.
Yeah, and this has never been a free speech debate on this. Yes, you are allowed, and I will fight even for the people who I disagree with, or who I think are dangerous for their actual free speech rights. But again, just like I've always said, free speech. Look, if you have like a job and they have a social media contract, then you can't say certain things online or do certain things on social media due to the social media clause in whatever place you work for's little docket or rule book that they give you when you start working there, or the one that they update as you work there. Please make sure if you're doing anything like this that you check said rule books, because even online you represent your company. Use false names. But yeah, and also you can't. I mean, you can yell fire in a crowded theater, but there are consequences for that, and you can't incentivize people or entice people to do any kind of illegal action. That's called conspiracy, I think. So yeah, have fun with that. And you definitely can't tell anyone to harm or kill someone.
And he may have run afoul of some of those. So the U.S. Treasury subpoenaed him over his Cuba trip in March, if you guys remember all of that. And he doesn't seem too confident about it.
I, on the other hand, got a text message, or rather a voicemail, from a Fox News producer saying that I had been subpoenaed by the federal government. And I was like, that's strange, asking for comment. But let's just say that kind of my whole night up. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's not great. The news
it's Frogan Dog.
Is not great. Okay. I mean, it's bullshit. Still not great that they're after your boy. They're up my ass.
I'm fine with all of that.
Why is he stealing Nick Fuentes' look?
I don't know.
I mean, come on,
being a little weird there. So.
He thinks it entices conservative women. He said this himself. He thinks that by wearing a suit, one, it's because people used to get on him for wearing very expensive clothing when he's supposed to be a communist. And, I mean, we all know how Animal Farm ends, right? They all end up standing on their hind legs. But But two, he says that it will lure in and entice the middle-aged conservative moms and mothers and wives, because they like to see a dapper young man like himself in a suit. He looks like a fucking pallbearer. Anyway, continuing.
But he did respond to the news of the subpoena on X with this: the American government would rather try to criminalize delivering aid to a country we've starved
That's not what
than
happened.
punish the Epstein class.
That's not what's happening.
It's always the Epstein class, by the way, that people are referencing right now, and it's this monolithic term.
It's not just they don't just divert to the Epstein class, which, by the way, knows no party line. Let's just be real about that. Whether or not you think Trump's on the list or not, it knows no party line. There were just as many, if not more, people who swing left, maybe not in politics, but a lot of Hollywood elites who are speaking a lot about the Epstein list. Turns out they're in it. There's pictures and such. And also, I hate being wrong about things. I saw Michael Jackson there. I was like, I was pretty sure, just for the fact that people kept sacrificing their kids to Michael Jackson, that it was all lies and people were just trying to get money out of him. Turns out probably not true. Turns out that all that probably happened.
I understand what it means. I'm not sure what he means it to mean, though, when he's saying it, because it's pretty much just anybody that disagrees with his position politically and the way that this country go. But just so that we can make sure everybody's on the same page about what this is and what this isn't, let's evaluate this and claim truth.
Claim truth.
All right, so let's get to the first claim, and it's that Hasan was really there on humanitarian grounds.
Last month, I took the opportunity to go as part of a humanitarian mission to bring aid that my government won't. I'd be accompanying Progressive International alongside hundreds of others from around the world. Activists, journalists, artists, and politicians will be coming to the island by boat and plane to deliver over 40 tons of necessary supplies, food, medicine, and medical equipment.
Makes him look to be like such a great guy. He's going to go there and help some people and be fantastic. Well, here's the truth. Hasan and his group violated humanitarian restrictions. So he specifically said he went to expose what the United States government has done to the Cuban population. Watch him.
What's up, guys? I'm Hasan Piker. I'm here in Havana, Cuba, right now on a humanitarian aid mission alongside numerous other organizations, including but not limited to the DSA.
Democratic Socialists
my
of
goal
America.
here today is to bring awareness to what my government, the United States of America, has done to the Cuban population.
See, didn't make it up. Words came right out of his own mouth. So this case gets pretty easy to prove pretty quickly. We'll see if they can actually make the case or not. But each humanitarian traveler must engage in these kinds of activities that I'm going to list below, right?
And only,
exactly. So these are the rules and restrictions when you're going to a place like Cuba. A full-time schedule of activities that enhance contact with the Cuban people, support civil society in Cuba, or promote the Cuban people's independence from Cuban authorities. Do you think Hasan Piker did any of those things?
I don't think he did.
By the way, supporting the Cuban government is in direct contrast to the permitted humanitarian activities that you can go there for, such as...
Hold on. So each traveler engages in a full-time schedule of activities that enhance contact with Cuban people, support civil society in Cuba, or to promote the people's independence from Cuban authorities. No, I don't think.
Independence from Cuban authorities. Do you think Hasan Piker did any of those things? By the way, supporting the Cuban government...
He found the one Palestinian living in Cuba for some reason.
Is in direct contrast to the permitted humanitarian activities that you can go there for, such as these actions by the organizers, right? So the trip was organized by people tied to the Cuban government, like Mariela Castro, Raul Castro's daughter, via nonprofit org Progressive International. That itself is a violation right there. Distribution of some goods by groups tied to the Cuban government, another violation. Yep. President Miguel Diaz-Canel allegedly welcomed the delegation, another one. Piker attended the Kneecap concert, which was anti-Trump in nature. And I know you're thinking, like, can't he attend a concert? No. We gave you a list of what he could do. These are all things that he cannot do, that he did do, that he talked about doing or showed you that he did. And by the way, just in case we all want to make sure that we understand what the people on this trip thought this trip was about, Code Pink described the trip as challenging the brutality of the U.S. blockade.
Huh.
And so,
and I can absolutely guarantee you that Hasan Piker not only knew about all this, but probably talked about it on one of his many hours of live streams. The guy's live streams for 4 hours a day, and he's too retarded to not gloat about some of his activities, illegal or not, because he's been pretty much, up until this point, untouchable, because Gooning Lord Dan Clancy over at Twitch loves him. He loves him so much because he brings in all of the young women's that he loves to goon to, because he's a gross old man. He looks like a 19-year-old that suddenly woke up and was 65. Like this, that's what Clancy looks like. It's very sad. But he's a CEO, so he's rich. So
to
fuck
the people
him.
living in the blackout.
I mean, that's pretty much how it was.
You can't hear this music because there's no power. Just do it.
So if he understood, and he made the claim that everything he did was pre-approved by the Treasury, but if that's true, then you would know that facilitating the narrative of the Cuban government was actually not facilitating the independence of the people from the Cuban government. Those things are diametrically opposed to each other, yet he got permission for all of them. That really, that stinks pretty bad.
It doesn't seem like he understood that, like, there are laws when you go and do stuff like this.
I think
and you
he
can't break
understood
those.
them. I think
No, he
just
understood
thought
100%. He even said he
why
did.
wouldn't he be able to get away with it? Think about everything he's gotten away with up to this point.
That's true. Well, here's another truth.
It's very true.
I'll just wait just to make sure. Piker also visited Cuba with Code Pink's Jody Evans.
Ew.
Now, Jody Evans is married to Neville Roy Singham, who works with the CCP to spread Chinese propaganda, shares Shanghai office with CCP media company Maku Group, produces pro-China content many leftists echo on social media, as we have highlighted here on the show, and responsible for...
Now, on that, I would question, shares an office or are in the same building. Studying with Zoom is boring. No, I agree. I don't know. On things like this, I wonder. Like, if it's just a tiny office, or you share the space, then yeah, that's questionable. If it's a small office and there are only 2 separate offices in this building that contains 2 separate businesses, then, questionable. But if it's a large space and there's a very possible chance that neither one of you's on the first floor and there's many floors and you both happen to inhabit this building, then maybe. But that's me, haven't done any background research. I could look into it a little further just to see, but I don't know if that's the kind of thing that they would specify online. But still, it goes towards these guys' points. But I just wanted to add my little bit of speculation sauce on that, just because I think too much. Anyway.
25% of Code Pink's donations.
Oof.
Now,
that's like
you
a
do
big
have
percentage.
to prove these allegations, right? You have to prove them, and I think he had to prove that he knowingly did it or willfully. There's some legal, I guess, hurdles that we have to overcome with some of these. It looks like there's probably a case, but let's narrow it down to just one thing that there is zero doubt about, and that's the hotel where he stayed. So here's the claim. Assange stated a U.S. government-approved hotel.
The American government makes it illegal for Americans to stay wherever they want when they're in Cuba. They have to stay in what they've declared as 5-star hotels.
So here's the truth. The hotel that he stayed at was actually on the State Department prohibited list.
Whoa, whoops.
The one that he apparently stayed at. So I don't know if you remember the clip that we showed you about him saying that...
And this is something that we've known. Like, we've known since it was announced that Diddy Piker went to... sorry. That Hasan Piker went to Cuba in the first place. He stayed at a hotel that was not on the approved list of the U.S. government. And they kept the lights on for him by burning gas that Cuba really, really doesn't have. They only use it for the elites and people who serve their purpose. They made sure that he had spotty, yes, but internet nonetheless, so he could do his little stream. I say that while streaming, while he was staying there in Cuba, allegedly fighting the good fight.
the government forces you to stay at these 5-star hotels was all of his viewers and listeners and all these people that were down for the struggle in Cuba saw him at a really nice hotel when he went there instead of staying with the people. And they were giving him crap for that. And he's like, no, bro, I had to stay at this hotel because this was the place that the United States tells me that I have to go. The government approved it. Well, he apparently stayed at the Grand Hotel Bristol, which is banned on these lists, the Cuba Prohibited Accommodations list and the Cuba Restricted list. The hotel's either owned or controlled by the Cuban government. That one, in and of itself, is enough to get a fine.
He didn't go to the same hatel, but he did go to a hotel that was on the prohibited list. Not sure whether he knew or not. If he didn't know, then just like Diddy Piker said, and I hate to agree with him, he's a bit of a dipshit. We knew that about Nick Shirley, though. Does a lot of good work, but a bit of a dipshit. And I say that with all the love in my heart. I was going to say colon, but I actually have respect for the kid. And no, he didn't stay, like I said, he didn't stay at the exact one, but he did stay at one on the ban list. And then had to flee in the middle of the night, so he didn't actually stay all night to avoid, I guess, Cuban intelligence. Sounds kind of oxymoronic, but that's what he reported. We'll see what officially comes out.
We'll see if they actually go through with all of this and this comes to fruition or not. But it doesn't look good.
Which it seems like it was clearly set up by the government to stay at this specific hotel that is owned, facilitated, and the government reaps the benefits of which. There are specific places set aside, and well, not set aside, but that are owned by Cuban people to the extent that they can own things. I think that like Casa Particulares or something. That's where you're supposed to stay because you're giving money right to those people, which you're allowed to do under these specific regulations. There's no way the Treasury ever approved him staying at this place. Like none of this passes muster at all.
It explains why the lights were on, though.
It does.
Well, yeah.
Well, and everybody else's lights were off.
Because I remember we were watching those videos of him and going, "Oh wow!" I mean, I guess his hotel is on, and we all thought, "Oh, I guess it's because he has to stay in a 5-star accommodation." No, it's government-owned hotel. That's why the lights are on.
Well, and they had to have a concert there too.
They had to have a concert. The government had to keep that building running so that they can run the propaganda through Hasan. Hello.
Where do you think David Guetta's playing in Cuba?
Guetta?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm never going to live that one down, am I?
Nope.
Okay, moving on.
No, I can get
Place. Get started today. Here's a bonus claim for you guys. It's not helpful to you if Hasan goes to prison. Listen to him say it.
It's so strange because, like, this is not even beneficial for any of these people, right? It's not even beneficial.
I assume he's talking about the Treasury.
Right.
And they don't get it. They don't understand it. Like, who is this for is the question. Is it for you? Is this helpful for you if I go to fucking prison? No. It's not.
I'll just take your word for it, I guess. The good news, though, is that the Justice Department has agreed to let him serve his time in a Cuban prison. That's nice.
Roll it tighter.
Don't roll them too tight. But here's the truth. It's beneficial to all of us. All of us would like to see you and people like you punished when you break the law, especially when you do it at the expense of the United States, when you hate the country that you live in, and you love these other socialist paradises, communist hellhole, whatever things that you're going to support.
And by the way, yeah, it would be really beneficial for Rick Scott, the senator or congressman from Florida that Hasan Piker said that people should kill. And it wasn't clipped out of context. He literally said that, and then he's like, I mean, in a video game, yeah, because I don't mean you should actually kill him. But let's keep this in mind. Hasan Piker did go to China, and he posted a meme that could have been construed as something negative to China, and he was immediately detained while streaming. And he didn't talk about how much of a fascistic dictatorship it was then when he was detained in China for sharing a meme that kind of possibly could have been construed to have said something negative about the Chinese or the Chinese government. I never saw the actual meme, but and then, like I said, until now, like he has been on a terror watch list in America. He was detained just like a lot of people are in an airport for like, what was it, 12 to 15 minutes once, and he said that he was there for hours when there's literally videotape from start to finish of the entire encounter. This is not a serious person, okay? It's just like the flotilla people with Greta Thunberg saying that they took all this aid and they were accosted and this and this and this by the Israelis. I mean, if you break a blockade with one or several ships, they're going to detain you, and they've sent them home every time. But they and even though they don't release the flotillas directly back to them, at least not immediately, they keep being able to afford more, which shows the depth of the pockets of the people who are backing them. The same millionaires and, yes, billionaires who they claim to loathe so much. Oh, but those are the good ones, right? Yeah.
Everybody knows what you went there to do. Everybody knows what you're all about. And listen, you have some obvious rights here in the United States that I don't want to violate. But when you step outside of those rights and you break the law, I would absolutely love to see you investigated. And hey, just like you, I don't want the socialist class protected. I want you guys to have to face the penalties that are associated with breaking those laws.
And it's really crossing political boundaries here. I don't know if you saw, but Nick Fuentes and Laura Loomer basically came out with the exact same tweet about Hasan Piker.
No, what did they say?
That if Trump was able to put Hasan Piker in jail, it would single-handedly bring him back. Like that was Nick's like, if Trump wants to get back in our good graces, he could single-handedly do that by putting Hasan in jail. And Laura Loomer basically said the exact same thing. So there's a lot of vitriol for this guy, and it is not Republican, Democrat, left, right. It's just
understandable.
Anybody that's not a complete retard.
I love to see that argument in court, though. Your Honor, how does it help you if I go to jail?
It doesn't help you.
How does it help you? Oh my God.
I have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions, depending.
And I don't know if you saw Myron Gaines's post about this.
No.
My algorithm sucks. But, he basically said, I don't support this because eventually they'll come for Republicans. What the f do you mean eventually they'll come for Republicans? They've been coming for us for the last 2 decades. And if a Republican was acting in the interest of a foreign adversary, they should go to jail.
Exactly.
This isn't a freedom of speech issue.
Yeah.
Which is why I think someone like Jackson Hinkle should go to jail, or if you find a Republican has been taking money from a foreign government to push their propaganda, just like the man in Acadia was found to be a foreign agent of China. I don't care what political party you claim to represent. If you're doing the bidding of a foreign nation at the behest of American interest, you should go to jail.
I 100% agree. And I think that's a really bad take. I understand the idea behind that take. And it's like, yeah, you got to be careful on some of these things. But that's not
take.
No, it's not. It definitely isn't. And I think that it is imperative that these laws are enforced. I mean, absolutely. It's the exact same. It's not the same case being made, but it's the same general rule. When you violate the law should be enforced. It's the same argument they're making against the Epstein class. When they violated the law should be enforced and people should go to jail. I fully agree 100%. Well, if Hasan Piker violated it, then yes, he should be going to jail or paying fines, whatever the due penalty is.
It's got House of Un-American Activities vibes, which is great, which I think we should be locking up communists. And
most of that was fine. Some of it was outside the bounds, but the reason for it was absolutely legit.
Yeah.
100%. Do some research.
And I don't know that registering as a FARA agent should just be able to get you off. I understand, but like the fact that Pam Bondi became our attorney general after she was a registered agent for the state of Qatar. Like, what are we doing? There's a lot of things that just don't make much sense to me that need to be rectified.
Some of the things that Trump has done have been very questionable. That was one of them.
The appointment of Pam Bondi?
Yes. And Matt Gaetz before.
Yeah, I never understood Pam Bondi, and I really didn't understand the Matt Gaetz bit. But he might have surprised me. Probably not. But I'm glad Pam Bondi's gone. I don't remember the name of the person that took her place. I just know that I haven't heard much about their exploits since put in office. So that's good, I guess, or bad. I don't know. We'll see.
I know some people will be pissed off at that, but I was like, okay, well, neither one of these is good for different reasons. Oh, you're still here? And you're
All right. So moving on to this.
We have definitely heard some whispers about Sony being worried that Chinese and South Korean studios have caught up with Japanese in terms of sales and popularity, and now more.
That's mostly due to a lot of these Japanese developers having American-based studios like Sony, like Nintendo, as we saw with the last Metroid Prime game. My God. And several others. Square Enix, I think they have an American office, which is why some of their stuff sucks so bad. But you'll see this a lot. But that's the main reason that the Chinese and South Korean developers can hold a candle to any of these Japanese developers, because as the popularity of American RPGs grew from roughly around the time of KOTOR and the rise of BioWare to somewhere around the time, somewhere between the time Trump was elected and COVID, you start to see a lot of, sorry, that was the end of the time. Somewhere between the rise of BioWare and the release of Anthem, and you start to see companies like Sweet Baby and people like Anita Sarkeesian getting given a lot of power behind the game development, besides the thought processes that go on behind them. Behind the scenes, so people don't get too sus of what's going on there. But you saw it openly with Anthem, and you saw how much that game ended up sucking. But during the time of the rise of the American Western or American RPGs, a lot of Japanese game developers who had American studios, or they even built American studios out here, and they started giving them more and more power because they were becoming more and more popular. Because for a time, mostly around the PS3 360 era, yes, Western games were arguably better, or at the very least more popular than Japanese RPGs, because, I mean, you know, they've got some weird stuff in there. Not really, but anyone who's grown up with them, you know what I'm talking about. They've got these little things here and there. And then, since they gave them that power, they started running wild with it, and that led to what's going to be probably the second great video game crash. The first one happened during the Atari, was it 3600? Before the original Nintendo came out, and Nintendo kind of pulled the video game industry back from that with a few very nice subversive tactics, not calling it a game console, but calling it an entertainment system. But that's how these Chinese, and the Chinese steal a lot of patents and certain technologies and such. But yes, South Korean and Chinese have caught up, and as much as I don't like doing anything that benefits the Chinese Communist government, they put out some good shit. I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm really not. Like, the Marvel game, the Marvel Rivals or whatever, much better than Overwatch, which sucks, because I have not found a character that I like as much as my boy Zenyatta in Marvel Rivals. It sucks. And then they came out with that, Sun Wukong game? Tales of something or other. I have it over here somewhere. But a lot of really, really great games. But let's continue and let Vera talk.
More Japanese developers are starting to openly admit the Korean studios are catching up to them, and it seems like they're all panicking. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I completely understand why these companies are worried. Over the past couple of years, a lot of Japanese companies have definitely, I would say, shifted in terms of the popularity they have amongst gamers, because gamers are sick and tired of political agendas and narratives being shoved in their faces constantly. And a lot of Japanese companies have bought into ESG and DEI initiatives. They are
and let's specify real quick. One, there are people that hate diversity in general. They don't want to see any face that's not white. Those people exist, and for the most part, I mean the Groypers, but for the most part, no one is against diversity, okay? It's the forced diversity. When you start changing the race, the sex, the orientation of an already established character. No one cares, and even Michelle Rodriguez got canceled for this like 10 or so years ago because she said that, if I was a writer and I wanted a Mexican character, I would make a Mexican character or Cuban or Hispanic or whatever. But then she got canceled for this. Michelle freaking Rodriguez. For a long time, and then the next Fast and Furious movie came out and everyone's just like, huh? But that's 100% right. You can create new characters. The only reason a lot of these characters don't make it is because if they even start gaining a monicum of importance, DC and Marvel will come, throw lots of cash at the creators, and seal them, and then lock them away forever. Let's not forget Static Shock. They had a really great comic, I think. Yeah, a really great comic. They got bought by DC. They had a show that came out, and it was a really good show. They could have their own Spider-Man on their hands. But no, instead, they just kind of squash them for whatever reason. When Static Shock has a pretty damn good rogues gallery and all that. But, again, no one hates diversity, and the love for the new One Piece live action shows that. They changed a few races of characters that actually made sense when it comes to the lore of that world. It doesn't make a lot of sense that a lot of pasty-ass people are from, the desert community with Princess Vivi. Makes sense that they would make her darker skinned, not necessarily dark, but someone like Middle Eastern complexion. Makes a lot of sense. So, a lightish brown skin. So those changes made a lot of sense. And it makes sense to make Zoro Asian because they've got a great real life swordsman to play him, and no one cares that they made Luffy Hispanic. No one cares. And no one cares that Sanji isn't actually like French. He's actually Hispanic. I didn't know that until I heard that he was doing the Spanish track for the live action dubbing, and I was like, okay, that's kind of awesome that the two actors for the English version are also doing the Spanish dubbing. It's pretty fucking cool because they can still play off each other. But anyway.
Pushing these things within their studios. They thought it would lead to more money and
and no one cares about messaging either, as long as you do it where it's not beating you over the head like a lot of the content that we consumed in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s. People could teach you things or try to involve you in things that may be outside of your normal worldview. Without beating you over the head with it, without being like, oh, this is great, this is wonderful, this is fantastic, why aren't you like this? You know what I mean? It mostly comes down to lazy writing, and it comes down to a lot of people being put in place because of nepotism or what have you, or because you kiss the right ass, which is something that I'm never fond of. I've seen too many people fail upward and too many people succeed downward. Someone doing very well in their job, but they didn't kiss the right person's ass, so they brought someone forth who was shit, but they kissed the right asses.
They would be able to reach a larger audience, a global audience, and that hasn't really worked. And so that means there has been an opportunity for, in this case, Chinese and also South Korean studios to make the content that gamers want. Black Myth Wukong shot into the scene and it did amazing. It won so many awards. So many gamers thought that it was an amazing experience and their game of the year. We have had titles like Stellar Blade release and do really freaking well. And there are so many games like Crimson Desert that have launched that people have loved. But now it seems that so many of these Japanese companies are panicking. And I had previously talked about Sony allegedly being very worried that they have caught up. That video will be linked down below. But now at G-Con 2025, the Nier creator Yoko Taro has said that, quote unquote, a lot of Korean developers are ahead of Japan when it comes to technology. The Devil May Cry creator Kamiya also expressed concerns over Japan being left behind. I think that this is so hilarious because obviously I love a lot of Japanese games, a lot of Japanese creators, and the reason why Japanese games really became so popular and even things like anime and manga became so popular was because Western activists left their customers behind.
Oh, hey, what's up, Shapeshifter? Shall we continue the video from yesterday? Per maybe haps. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to... I mean, I might. Where is it? Maybe. We'll see.
They decided they wanted to chase a new audience, and so they were going...
Currently, we're talking about how Western and Japanese developers are kind of shaking in their little boots because the Chinese and the Korean studios are rising and making some really good shit.
To sanitize and modernize their content in these types of games and mediums became so popular from other places in the world because people were looking for alternatives. But now that the alternative has sort of gone mainstream, it has a lot of Western investors or investors that want to chase a global audience, and so that means they're going to sanitize. People are now looking for alternatives to the alternatives, and that is China and South Korea. And I can't really say that I'm shocked because I'm one of these people that gets very excited for a lot of Korean and Chinese games. It says titles like Crimson Desert are a big reason why people are taking those comments seriously. Korean studios are now making huge AAA games that can compete directly with Japanese and Western titles, and all I can say is good. Competition is healthy, and it means that there will be maybe Ubisofts and Sonys and EAs that will change their mentality and say, enough is enough. We need to just go back to making entertainment escapism and making entertainment, well, entertaining. And they are going to need to, I don't know, pick up the pace when it comes to just making good content, because otherwise you're going to continue to lose sales. And if these companies lose too many sales, they're going to be non-existent. It says Japanese developers are not reacting with hostility. Kamiya even said the more creators we see coming out of Korea who are making one-of-a-kind games, the more it'll raise the bar for the entire video game scene worldwide. And I do think that it is good that there is no hostility there. I do think that it's good that people like this are sort of welcoming these other sort of developers with open arms. I do think that there are enough gamers across the world to buy all sorts of games, and I think...
before she says the last thing that she thinks, because she paused for so freaking long, I just want to say that I think it's a good thing too, so long as the Chinese and the Koreans don't fully push the other two out of the gaming market. I think more competition's better, and the more good stuff that they make, the more stuff that people buy from them. I think it will force the Western and Japanese markets to actually make good shit again, and start actually investing in people who actually know how to write and develop, as opposed to all the nepotism hires with agendas and objectives. I mostly, and I know he's not a video game developer, but I mostly want to bring back the guy who developed X-Men 97. Bring him back. Bring him back now. We need, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but we need him. He's great.
Now,
It's fantastic.
hear me out. I think that Western companies could be turned around. Now, I know that that seems impossible given all of the damage these studios have done to some of our favorite characters and storylines and worlds, but I do genuinely believe if these studios fired 95% of their ranks and actually went back to hiring developers and really just hiring higher quality and passionate and talented developers, they could make things better. I don't want to see this industry fail. I want to see them succeed. But yeah, I do think that it looks like it would be impossible at this point. I definitely feel a little bit depressed having to talk about the damage that has been done to the industry that we all know and love. Like I mentioned, Sony had said some Chinese and Korean studios were moving faster than Western studios. They do seem to be quite panicked. They said that Chinese and South Korean teams are working at an astonishing pace. The scale and responsiveness in their approach, it's something that we're not necessarily seeing with some of our Western or even Japanese teams. And he even added that the content the teams are receiving from these studios is very different than the stuff that we've seen before, at least on PlayStation.
Good stuff.
They said that it is interesting to see what their trends and trajectories are relative to Western dev communities. So during a time when Sony is losing billions of dollars on games like...
And it does very much seem that the Chinese and Korean studios are developing things. And in a lot of eras, this would be a bad thing, being 10 years behind or doing things that were trendy 10 or so years ago. As far as a gameplay perspective, do modern things. But as far as story, immersion, and the whole bit, and just storytelling, go back about 10 years. It was prime. That's why a lot of people these days are, and why so many games from the PS3, 360, Xbox 360 era are so popular, and why the remakes from those are so popular. If I didn't, I think the caffeine something I'm puttering out. I'm having a stroke, but no, I think that's why they're so popular. Is just because they're writing and making games in the same fashion as those games, as opposed to the shit that we get now. I know, I'm repeating myself.
Intergalactic, Continue. The Heretic Prophet, Concord. You have the sort of write down or the impairment loss of Bungie, and they're not developing Destiny 2 anymore because they have to put the little bit of money they're getting left back into Marathon. It just seems like a very tough time, but a tough time of their own making. Now, heading back to the initial post on Japanese developers, some of these comments are hilarious, and a lot of the comments are just saying, yeah, I'm going to team with Korea or China these days in terms of content, mostly because of things like Stellar Blade. And even I'm not saying that there aren't problems. South Korean and Chinese developers have some very bad monetization systems. And of course, China is known for heavily censoring content. The content that we have gotten from the studios, like Game Science, for example, don't seem to be censoring their products for all markets, but...
And that's another thing. I don't want them to do so well that they can buy existing franchise and gaming studios. It's bad enough that the Saudis are already buying some, because I think they will edit a lot of things. I think that they will... A lot of people are focusing more on things that they want to see censored. Like a lot of people are just going to say, oh, we won't get as many feminist things and we won't get as many trans adjacent stories. I don't care. The best RPGs that we've had, American RPGs, you could choose to be whatever you wanted. You could be gay, you could be straight, even if they threw an option to be trans in there. I don't care, as long as it's an option. The same way I feel about the gameplay from Star Fox on the Wii U. No one cared about the gameplay until they made it non-optional. You couldn't switch back and forth between the interesting but shitty new control scheme that you had to be basically a licensed pilot to control, or the original standard control scheme. The same way with pretty much all of BioWare's original games before they got bought by EA. You could choose to be gay, you could choose to be straight, you could choose exactly who you wanted to fall in love with, the same way that all these people want. And they could just add the option as to whether or not you had, titties and a dick, or whatever. They could add the option to be a trans character. And it wouldn't even affect anything, or it would. That's the thing. A lot of games these days, and the Veilguard's a perfect example of this, the most absolute linear Dragon Age game of all time. And it's because they forced you into a certain lifestyle, a lot like a lot of these people's parents tried to do for them, and they didn't like it much then. But it's, again, a lot of these activists, it's never been about the message. It's been mostly obtaining power from those who have it, which I completely understand. But if you're just going to be the same tyrannical fuck that you were quote-unquote fighting against, the one that was quote-unquote oppressing you, then you're no better than they are. You're just the other side of the same fucking coin. But anyway, let's go ahead and how much time we got? Yeah, we're gonna jump over to this.
Autopsy report did show that.
Oops.
George Floyd. Oh man.
This one's gonna be touchy.
Sometimes they write in little punchlines for me that change. Let's start that again so that I can deliver it correctly. It's been 6 years since George Floyd became sober. Nice. Yesterday, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry wrote this on X.
Funny,
Instead
but
of
horrible.
saying thank you to our troops, he said, "Today we remember George Floyd, who was murdered by a former Minneapolis police officer 6 years ago. That moment changed our city forever." And the good news, leave it up really quickly, for those of you who don't know, ratioing is kind of fun when it happens. It's got, what was it, 10 million plus views or something like that? Yeah, 10.2 million, but only 10,000 likes. So
it's crazy that there's that many likes.
It's a little weird. Yeah, well, 10 million views.
Well, I mean, that's about the amount of people. That's about the amount of people who are in his city, right?
Yeah, 40,000 comments.
4 to 1 is wild.
Yeah, a little bit of a ratio there. So there's some good news, but it brought us back to the whole George Floyd thing, and we just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that things aren't what they seemed in the first week or the second week or even in the third week of what was going on there. As more information came out, we were able to kind of step back and go, wait a minute, like maybe we jumped the gun on some of the problems that we had with this. Maybe that wasn't him peeing on the ground. That was actually just the exhaust. There was some dripping coming out either from the air conditioner or from the exhaust of the car. Oh, wait a minute, there's an entire full video where he actually asked to be taken out of the car. Well, wait a minute, like the coroner's office said certain things about the drugs. Hold on. So let's go into a couple.
Well, and it's just like, just pay attention, okay? I know the original video was horrifying. It was. And look, do I think that the cops are 100% innocent in this situation? No, I don't. Derek Chauvin showed up late, and he was the one with his knee on the dude's neck, and he had a bit of a past. So I think that there should have been some kind of administrative action against him. However, at the same time, that same administration used him as a fall guy, and they weren't, while they quietly, I don't even know if they changed anything behind the scenes, because everything that those cops did was in line with what the city of Minneapolis had instructed them to do. And if that's the case, then they used him as a patsy, pretty much. And they arrested even the Asian dude who was just kind of standing there making sure that no one else, got themselves involved. It was a fucked up situation. And it's a horrifying video. But anyway,
a couple of those things really quickly, just to remind you what happened with this. So if you'll remember, the autopsy report did show that he had 16.6 nanograms per milliliter of fentanyl in his system. The lethal dose is as low as 3.5 nanograms per milliliter. So he was partying.
That's I think that's very rare, the 3.5.
Yeah, but it can happen.
When you times it by 5?
Yeah,
Well, then we're not talking minimums anymore.
Well,
we're talking, that's enough to kill somebody, I think.
It is. Well, and if that wasn't enough, meth, he had 19 nanograms per milliliter of meth in his system as well. There was no trauma to the neck and also no life-threatening injuries. But we really are not the same country that we were in 2020. Like I said, in that moment, people just were so afraid of being called racist. They were so afraid of being categorized for not coming out and speaking out against racism when apparently it was shown to them in a video form or in somebody's comments. They would have to go out and simp and say, hey, I've got to make sure that you understand I'm not one of these people, right? I'm not one of those people. That's not quite simping, but essentially it ends up being the same thing when the people were kissing the boots of the Black Lives Matter I think of simping a little bit differently, but I was thinking of the lady who got down on her knees and was actually kissing the feet of the black guys. That's
super simping.
That's super simping. So
oh my God,
that's not this story.
Yeah, and there were a lot of really, really cringe videos. And let's not forget when Pelosi and a lot of other people from the House of Representatives put on, what was it, kente cloth or something to that effect? And then it turned out that the garb that they had wrapped themselves in actually belonged to African slaveholders.
That's on the very dramatic side of it.
So just in case you forgot, here are 5 moments commemorating St. George Floyd's legacy, which you may not remember. Number 5, we'll just start with the founder of the feast, Mayor Jacob Fry, and him weeping beside Floyd's golden casket.
Wanna go tree climbing, Big G? His face hurts. And where's his speedball? He can't breathe without his speedball.
That's so fucked up.
Put his speedball in. Give him his speedball.
Gets me every time. Tragic. Actually, it's the wrong clip. Here's the right one.
I mean, kind of.
Make sure you shake when you cry, Mayor.
Yeah.
So people know and believe it.
The camera's not on your face.
I didn't realize that Fry was mayor back there.
Eat some Somali food at the after party.
Fry.
That makes him one of the worst
Listen,
mayors
I
in the
understand
country.
at the time. That was within like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
You can't understand that.
No. Let me finish the statement. I understand being sad that somebody died. I get that.
Sure.
But it's the mayor of the city who had never even seen this person before and probably would do everything in his power to get away from that person had he seen him. And he's sobbing at a casket during the COVID stuff that we had to deal with the masks and everybody doing stupid stuff. Sobbing at the casket, making sure the cameras see him kneeling down. Like you said, somebody coached him on like, hey, if you're going to sob, that means like you're going to move. You got to move around a little bit.
Yeah, you're going to be wearing a mask. People won't be able to see your face. So you need to like do the shake. Yeah. You need to make sure people know.
Well, and this was perfectly emblematic of people being more upset or offended than the people who are actually affected by a lot of these things that happen. The fact that he was more emotional than the actual people at the funeral is telling, at the very least.
You're at a black funeral, man. You got to really sell it.
Yeah, you got to be very expressive. Okay, number 4. The I take responsibility stuff. So the NAACP, the NAACP sponsored a video that featured celebrities
it's just one
like
POA.
Aaron Paul stepping up for the black community.
I take responsibility.
Do ya?
She's the worst.
I take responsibility.
Do ya?
She just looks like an asshole.
I take responsibility.
Bitch!
He thought about that.
Who's that?
I take responsibility.
I don't know who that is either.
For every unchecked moment. For every time it was easier to
that makes sense. It should be there.
Every not so funny joke.
Who's that?
Funny. Come on.
Every unfair stereotype.
Every blatant injustice, no
God.
matter how big or small.
Every time I remained silent.
Comb your hair.
Every time I explained away police brutality.
They're all looking off camera.
I know.
Or turned a
Read the
blind
script.
eye. I take responsibility. Black people are being slaughtered in the streets, killed in their own homes.
What?
These are our brothers and sisters.
What's he talking about?
Killer cops must be prosecuted. They are murderers. We can turn the tide.
Turn the
It is
tide.
time to take responsibility. Call out hate. Step up and take action.
I stand against hate.
I stand against hate.
Do you though?
I stand against hate.
You want to cook crystal meth?
Pinkman got exactly what he deserved.
That was almost
In
seamless.
my mind. You want more of that? It's a live show weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Make sure you are here.
I mean, the guy had 19 nanograms per milliliter of meth in his system.
He did.
So I don't think he wants to make it, but he wants to do some of it.
He loves Walter White.
Yeah. They want to keep his memory strong. Just do meth. You're
Just
fine.
do what he did. There you go. Do as George did. You'll have a happy life as well.
I can't believe that
Apparently.
these celebrities are out.
Yeah,
of
wear
touch.
one of those.
I can't either.
In touch thing.
It's when it's so
WWGD
fake. Like it's just
bracelets.
like, wow, that's just you trying to act like you're sad. Step up and fight hate. Like, as soon as you said the jokes weren't funny, I'm like, I can't listen to this guy anymore.
I can't believe he hasn't won an Oscar yet.
Funny.
Man, that was
pretty good.
Touching.
No idea who
Number
that is.
3. Unfortunately, we have to call out our own sometimes. This is one of those moments, and it's not because of just what they said. It's
no, 100%.
because
Call
of the
balls and
environment
strikes.
that we were in and why they said it. So they were very quick, some Republicans at least, to jump on this because of the initial video that was released. And I understand when you see the initial video, you're like, oh my gosh, this looks really bad, until, you know, further information comes out. So let's start with Dan Crenshaw. He said this on X, R.I.P. George Floyd, you should be with us today. Yeah,
like with
maybe.
you
doing math.
I mean, without the 16 grams of fent, he, you know,
might have been.
I'm interested if Dan wanted him actually with him. Like at his family barbecue. Like, yeah, come to my house.
I don't think he sees it very clearly.
No.
Ted Cruz also wrote on X, having watched the video, what happened to George Floyd is inexcusable and cannot be tolerated. Law enforcement should protect everyone regardless of race. I am glad that the Department of Justice has stepped in, and I pray that justice is done. You may wonder why so many Texas people are responding to this. It's because of the next thing that we'll talk about. I guess he was a Texan, George Floyd. I don't remember that as much, but his funeral was definitely held in Houston, and that led to this from Texas Governor Greg Abbott about George Floyd's death.
We're proud George Floyd is a Texan.
No, we're not.
Today is a sad day. Ever since his death has been a sad day. This is the most horrific tragedy I've ever personally observed. But George Floyd is going to change the arc of the future of the United States.
I mean, that is true.
He got hit by a tree.
That's a pretty big tragedy, right?
He was alive for 9/11. Probably lost his legs at the Alamo. I don't know. He's old as shit.
There's been some tragedies that you've been alive for, is the point, and it wasn't the.
And that's one of these things that I absolutely hate. For people who've been alive through clearly and obviously worse tragedies, to be like, this is the worst thing that has ever happened. What? You're old as shit. Like you were alive for 9/11. You were alive for the housing crisis that happened in, what was it, 2008? The Oklahoma City bombing. The birth of dubstep. Like, come on. You've been alive through all kinds of terrible things.
The biggest tragedy out there. And listen, I understand you're at a funeral, you want to say something. You can do that without saying, like, this is the biggest tragedy I've ever witnessed in my life. But listen, the great thing about Greg Abbott is that he tries to get everywhere as quickly as possible.
Is that you can outrun him.
No exception. Showed up with a smile on his face. He celebrates life. Because George Floyd lived it. Trust me, with the drugs in his system, he was having a great time right up until he wasn't.
They still have that ramp, by the way.
They do. They
Dallas
just
to
leave it
Houston. Yeah. You can hop on that.
They have speed in common.
That's why we don't need high-speed rail.
Yeah, we got high-speed track.
High-speed wheels.
High-speed Floyd.
Blaze, get started today. So this one, I was a little surprised by this one. I didn't remember this one at the time, but I believe this was about 6 days later after George Floyd, the whole incident happened. I don't remember when the video came out, if it was a couple of days afterwards or if it came out right after the death. I can't remember the timeline there, but this
it was pretty soon because it was personal phone footage. It wasn't.
It came out pretty quickly.
This was in a week. Footage, right?
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't body cam. It was cell phone.
Somebody else. It was one of the people who was trying to interject and try to get Chauvin off of him.
I was thinking it wouldn't, because the body cam footage kind of
came out later, told the whole story. Yeah, told the whole story. But this is Rush Limbaugh, who had this to say on The Breakfast Club.
The George Floyd story is being lost.
Right.
There are two things happening in America, and it sickens me what happened to him. Legitimate national outrage about a policeman's criminal brutality has been hijacked. And I don't want to forget about George Floyd. What happened to George Floyd sickened me, and I wanted to reach out and tell you all this. I want to make sure you have
black people?
No doubt.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm not the only American who feels this way.
It is an election year after all. So
How
it's
much
full court press for all of them.
Yeah.
How much of that did you see? I mean, it goes back to the I Take Responsibility responsibility video. They wanted to ingratiate themselves with the black community.
Yeah.
No, I'm not like one of the bad white people. You don't have to loot my store. I support you. That's what this Rush Limbaugh thing is. I wanted to reach out to you. Who's you? The Breakfast Club, obviously, because no, not all white people are bad, and it was so many people groveling for something that in hindsight is very clear that it was taken advantage of from the very moment by specific nefarious forces to force people to shut up.
Yeah.
And very glad that we're not in that same place today, but it can
you very quickly go back there.
Go back.
Yeah, so that's what we used to have to deal with. Do you guys remember that, where when something like this happened, you had to immediately come out, and it's not that you were not involved with it, it was that you had to come out and make sure that people understood you were on the right side of it. And the right side of it was whatever the media said. Whatever the media said was the right side is what you had to run with. And people weren't fact-checking. People weren't using alternative media sources. X at the time was still Twitter and not owned by Elon Musk. And for all the benefits and drawbacks that you may think of that, at least you can see information now about this stuff come out, and you can speak freely about it. It's not censored nearly as much. We didn't have Donald Trump in office again and have the ability for him to make sure that Facebook and other organizations aren't censoring this kind of speech as well. And CNN has been called to the carpet enough to where they've lost so much of their audience that they've had to kind of try and rebrand themselves to a degree and be a little bit more balanced. All of that just came out, and you were immediately, I have to get on the right side of this, and the right side is whatever they say. But here's the thing. Just like with COVID, we're not holding you responsible for what you don't know. Right? We may not like how quickly you came out and assumed and ran with the narrative. There's some problems we can have there. We're going to hold you responsible for what you do know. And now that all of the information is out, it's been out for a very long time. It was out very shortly thereafter. I didn't find, unfortunately, Ted Cruz coming out and saying, hey, I want to clarify my remarks.
Hey, Rekla, thanks for the follow.
He died, retracting or clarifying his statements. I didn't find that.
It's probably what
would have been helpful.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see that. I would have liked to see, like, hey, look, upon further review, like, should he have gotten off of him? Yeah, sure, fine. You can make that argument.
No, 100%.
But did that kill him? No. Should everybody have been protesting and outraged and burning?
No, and that's the thing. Look, you can say that should the dude got off of him? Yes, 100%. Should maybe one of the guys standing around had said, hey, man, why don't you get off of him? Yeah, probably, but they were a little concerned with the snarling mob that was quickly growing around. Would he have died anyway? Yeah, no, absolutely. That's generally what happens when you take your stash so you don't get busted with your stash, is you OD horribly with the worst possible thoughts in your mind. As someone who's seen someone OD in person, it's horrifying. There's literally nothing you can do if they've taken past a certain threshold. Tried to get them to throw up, but it was too late. Clearly. But anyway, that's part of the reason why the stories like this piss me off so much. It's just because I've seen and had drug addict family members take advantage of my generosity when I was very, very young. An older cousin of mine robbed me blind and then led me on a wild goose chase to kick someone else's ass just to cover for it. It was, yeah, got me revved up too. It was crazy. I should have known better, but I was blinded by my love of my cousin.
Cities down and looting and rioting in the street. No, of course not. This was all ginned up as a controversy. Wasn't there a white guy? I think his name was Terry. I can't remember his last name. The exact same scenario happened. Police officers are trying to, I think it was a wellness check or something like that. It wasn't like a drug stop or somebody getting in trouble for driving. Same kind of thing happened. It was a white guy that it happened to, and literally the guy died. No outrage.
No, that guy got shot a bunch. I think I know who he's talking about. The guy was in like a big white truck. Or he might be talking of a different one. But they're around the same time, a video came out of a white dude that got to stop. And he literally just got out of his truck and said, "Hey, what's going on, officer?" Bop, 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 and he's gone. Around the same time, another guy was asked to do a lot of really stupid things, like to get on his knees, cross his feet, and crawl towards him without putting his hands on the ground. This seems like some kind of stupid shit that you would do in a relay race, or if you were just trying to fuck with a new person in a frat. But they gunned this guy down in a hotel, and it turns out I'm pretty sure he wasn't even the right guy that they were looking for. Funny that. And they let his girlfriend just walk over to them. Super weird.
No media coverage, wall to wall. Maybe we can pull that clip up. We have it. I think his name Terry. It's a similar situation as George Floyd. I think within the last few years.
Is he on 5 times the lethal dose of fent?
Are you thinking of the black guy in the wheelchair and the fireworks?
No. Back it up. Put it in reverse, Terry. No.
This is happening right now, and I think we'll probably talk about it later this week. But the situation in Britain with the student Henry Novak that was stabbed,
100%,
and arrested, and watched die because he was accused of racism.
Exactly. So we're covering that Thursday.
Next time we're back on, which I believe.
Yeah, we got the Cuba show tomorrow, so we'll do it on Thursday. We will 100% cover that. Make sure we write that down because I could not agree more. The same kind of situation is happening over there right now. Same kind of thing. The only thing is they don't really have the same kind of access to information that we do.
But it was also a white Polish kid, and it wasn't the minority du jour.
It wasn't the police didn't necessarily kill him either. So
they handcuffed him and watched him bleed.
No, for sure. They're at fault for sure, but it is a little different.
It is a little different.
I think it's agree. I think it's worse.
Yeah, it's terrible. I'm just saying that the situation is different. Like I don't think that the riots and all the stuff would have happened if it was not a police officer. If it was just like Lane kneeling on a guy's neck.
Why would Lane do that? He's a nice guy. He wouldn't do that. You know who else is virtue signaling? White women.
Oh yeah, that always happens.
It's at number 2.
They're still doing it.
What's the matter with
you? Even say number 2.
Number 2.
Theory is very
white
real.
women virtue signaling. White women immediately jumped. Immediately, and this was one of the first groups that you knew would do this to sympathize with George Floyd and BLM.
I might not be the same, but that's not important.
Oh my God.
Freedom to equal. Damn right I support it.
Take that right side.
Like that fist is weird.
Freedom to equal. Damn right
I can't breath.
They only do it. These are the kind of people who just post whatever in their bio just because. A lot of these people just do it because it's trendy. There's no real emotion in this. It's very cringe. It's not unlike, like, have you ever seen shared social media profiles to where two people will share a social media profile? It's like, okay, yeah, which one of you cheated?
Get your emotes out.
It's a shield. Our job is to use it to shield black and brown bodies. And this, do you hear this? This is a microphone. Use it to amplify black and brown voices.
Who shields those bodies from you?
That was Damon Targaryen.
Damn right I support it. I might not be the same.
Are we including Macklemore as a white woman?
I guess.
Damn right I support it.
Why are you looking up? We're equal.
Oh, careful. Don't open that hand.
Restaurants and bars in that country are closing.
Supplies are being rationed.
I wish.
Be the same, but that's not important.
Oh God, now see that, and see, this is the kid. This kid shouldn't even know what's going on. What is happening?
Did you get that acting gig?
I know that's what they're going.
I think no.
No. The answer is definitely no. Here's our number 1.
No, exactly. It's like seeing all the Palestinian flags.
David Guetta.
What?
I don't know his name, bro.
When people are protesting things that have nothing to do with Palestine, it's crazy.
Absolutely insane.
Guettas.
I can't believe you just asked that question.
Admonish.
Say it right.
What is
I'm
it,
sorry,
David
I
Guettas?
don't know the DJ scene like you guys do. Okay, I'm married
David
with a lot
Guetta.
of kids. Yeah, David Guetta. Yeah,
he's
I
only
never
been
heard
around
of
for like
before you
20
had a
years.
kid, Jay.
I never heard of this guy. I don't care who the hell he is. But he did have this in support of George Floyd and his family. David Guetta, don't care about it, dropped a special track.
So this record
Hi, Dave.
is in honor of George Floyd.
I hate to stand up for Gerald, but I don't know who the fuck this is either.
We can see more
Hell yeah.
unity and more peace
Yep.
when already things are so difficult.
They are so difficult.
Shout out to his family.
Oh, really? He's the cool kid and I'm not?
His family is definitely listening.
Oh man, they're so honored.
These people don't give a fuck. This is for clout. That's all this is. How much money did these people stand to make for standing with current thing? Especially if these people aren't necessarily political in the first place. I mean, come on. I can think of a lot of channels that were elevated by just being a part of current thing movement.
What? Sampling MLK. That's crazy work.
I still have a dream. It is a dream.
They had a lot in common. Skin color.
I have a dream.
Okay, I see the vision now.
Dancing like this is so goofy.
Oh my god.
You know what that reminds me of? His voice. Do you like to scuba? Do you remember the Post nightclub? Shout out to the gay lovers.
Yeah, no,
I
exactly.
stand here today in the Normandy.
Like Blade's about to go through and murder everybody.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
the music from the Blade blood scene, the blood shower.
That's David
Almost.
Guetta.
It's
All right, I
it's
finally
like a
get it.
half off.
Sponsored, by the way, this event was sponsored by, is that Major League Soccer, MLS?
Yes.
Oh my God.
No,
It's because they have DJs for the games, yeah.
It's because he's European.
HP and also Heineken, which makes perfect sense at that point.
I would want to be hammered.
No, he is very drunk.
So today, if you are celebrating George Floyd's life, drink responsibly.
Sponsored by Heineken.
I mean, he doesn't suck.
That's the best
blame us.
sponsorship since Applebee's sponsored the Ukraine war.
He's too chubby to dance that way. You can see his titties bouncing.
Fighting good in the neighborhood.
Jeez. All right. So, in conclusion, a lot has changed. Thank God, since 2020.
George Floyd reviving from ice bath. African DNA sequences resynchronizing with cybernetic enhancements.
Oh, the
Nanotech
fentanator?
enhanced lungs reinflating.
Great,
Laser cannon
great.
powering up. Systems check
Goodbye.
implant functioning within normal parameters. Fentanyl reactor fuel levels low.
That is
Stabilizing.
fucked up. I just saw it was called the George
Right now,
Droid
George Floyd is looking
fan
up
club.
us
That's
at
fucked
us
up.
all laughing so hard that he can't breathe.
And I will say, especially because that was a really good whole set that Hinchcliffe did. That was not the best stinger to put on the end. I will say that. If shock value, yes, it was there. If he hadn't chuckled at his own joke halfway through it, might have been a bit more. But again, not the best joke. Completely support his right to say it in the whole bit. All right, but it's not as funny as he thought it was. I didn't think it was, at least. Not because it was a George Floyd joke, but just because it needed just a little more something. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if you're going to do something, and I completely agree with the Wayans on this, if you're going to joke about a certain topic, I think it should be, like I said, especially if you're doing it on a national platform, like Netflix or whatever. If you're just doing it at a comedy club and you're trying to hone it or whatever, that's fine. Do whatever you got. But if you're doing it on Netflix, on a live Netflix special, the one that was probably one of the biggest things that they'd ever put forth, especially on a live stream, it needed a bit more. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass.
He just goes, yeah, I said it. He's looking up at us, guys. I don't think he was a believer. Just saying. I mean, it's not Saint Floyd, and pointing up and praying and crossing yourself to him is probably a really bad idea. But
a believer in Christ? He wasn't even a believer in his kids.
Well, yeah, I don't.
Wait, a mural was struck by lightning.
Who was?
A George Floyd mural.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
The chat
It's a good sign.
I remember. Didn't the wall collapse because of that? Yeah.
I don't know. If
that is pretty crazy.
I don't know
if he was a believer. The guy didn't believe in himself. He was using counterfeit 20s.
Maybe he's just an entrepreneur, and you just don't understand how he was.
I don't know what that means.
Real solid dude.
You counterfeit 100s.
That's right.
Oh, okay. No, yeah. Yeah, of course.
Well,
I mean, if you're gonna
keep your britches
Not if you believe in yourself.
lie big.
That's true.
So we're back to that.
I believe
Well, listen.
I can breathe.
Oh, sorry.
I feel it more than a dry heat.
Just let that one sit.
YouTube's is something you're not.
All right. But yeah, anyway, like I said, I got mixed feelings when it comes to things like this. I think the fact that Derek Chauvin took the whole rap when the city itself should have, and when I say the city, I mean the mayor, I mean the police force, the police chief, whatever. I think they should have taken more accountability because they're the ones that approved the fucking training. And it came out that, yes, this is what they were trained to do to apprehend suspects. Yes. Should they have had more empathy and let the dude up? Yeah, probably. You know what I mean? Like, they should have done any number of things. George Floyd did ask to be taken out of the car because he was very clearly ODing. Hold on. It's like the Turkish prime minister who said Allah cursed Israel, then immediately after had a heart attack. No, 100%. And it is... I don't know if it's just... It's funny, but not in a funny haha kind of way, that all these murals went up and one got struck and destroyed by lightning. I understand how the Christians would think it's hilarious. And you know what? Respect. It's nice to see that y'all have dark humor too. But no, it's just it's one of these harsh ironies, we'll say, that is it just keeps life interesting. But no, man, just like there's a lot of nuance to a lot of these situations. Okay, for a lot of us, you see the pictures of like Kyle Rittenhouse running down the street with his gun slung over his chest, which is, by the way, just how some gunslings sling your weapon. It has it slung across your chest in a high ready position, we'll say. Or I guess it would be by high, I mean high in proportion to the body, but it's still technically a low ready position. And that's just the way that they sling, and the way it's attached to you. You still have mostly free movement until you, depending on the sling that you have on you. But that's a whole different thing. But the pictures of him running around with his gun like that, and his hands actually on it, makes it look like he was a lot more of an active shooter situation than he actually was. If you watched any of the actual video, or went all the way through it several times like I did, because I was very into that situation, because I felt bad for the kid. And at first I felt bad for him eventually. At first I was like, who is this motherfucker? Who is he out here gunning people down? I was one of the people who thought that he was out there shooting black people. Because that's what the news was reporting, and that's what a lot of people were saying. And then I watched the videos because I was curious, because I heard a lot of my friends talking about it. And then I was like, oh, he only shot people who were like screaming, I'm going to kill you, and charged at him, or put hands on him, or beat him over the head with something, or pulled a gun on him, like the one guy that survived. Same thing with the Floyd situation. A lot of there are nuances to this. Should the cops have been accountable? Yes. Should the Asian dude who was just kind of standing there have spent 5 years in jail just for being on the scene? Probably not. Do I think that the officers should have been held accountable? 100%. Not to the extent that they were, more than likely. But again, they were just scapegoats for the city who trained them to do so and then left them hanging when the city, or when the world's eyes were on them. And that's one thing I don't like about politicians or any state-run organization, because those organizations are run by people who will be corrupt or cave under the slightest bit of pressure from the local inhabitants, from people all across the country, or when a lot of news people are constantly in their face and they don't want to look stupid on TV, but they usually end up doing so anyway. But again, this is another reason why I always say, if you're going to feel a certain kind of way, if you're going to get all in your feelings about something that didn't actually happen to you, make sure you at least know what the fuck you're talking about. Watch some videos. Read more than a headline. And we're all guilty of it. I've done it a couple times myself. I've been like, oh, that's awful, and seems like something would happen because that's the kind of thing that this kind of person would do. And then you just repost. Or you'll... A lot of people will say really, really stupid shit. Again, myself included from time to time. But just make sure that you do, or the people who burnt the Israeli flag and then got burned by it. Yeah, no, that was pretty funny. No, it's always really funny when people will do something like that and then just accidentally set themselves on fire when they're trying to burn down something else. It's sad if you think about it, because this person, they could just be a dumb kid doing a thing because all their friends went to a thing and they wanted to really show out for their friends, which is why I don't do shit like that anymore. I used to. But as someone who's been lit on fire 3 times in his life, I can laugh at that and just be like, I've been there, stupid. I will say 2 of the times I've been set on fire wasn't necessarily my fault. Well, okay, one of them was. One of them, my mom put out candles all the time, and I was going on a first date, and it was one of those candles, and it was halfway down in those little glass jars. It was halfway down. The flame wasn't even going anywhere near the top of the little jar that it was in. And I was like, oh, God, what is that? Was that a pale pole? Oh, no. And I leaned over it, and then I smell something burning. And I looked down, and there's just a little wave of flames flapping at my face. And I screamed like, Mom! Mama! Mama! And I put it out. And then then I go, and there's like a pizza shape of my shirt missing, and it's charred. Very clear what happened, fire. And it was one of my favorite shirts too. And while I'm screaming for my mom, I hear her, because my dad's disabled, or was, and I'm like, Mom. She's like, honey, calm down. Your father and I are trying to watch Seinfeld. And I go in there, and my shirt's just missing and charred. And I'm like, hey, how y'all doing? It's like, oh, honey, what happened? Like, very calmly. And I was like, I was on fire. It's like, well, you put it out, didn't you? I was like, yeah, I stopped, dropped, and rolled. I didn't really. But as soon as I say, yeah, I stopped, dropped, and rolled, she's like, oh, not on the carpet. And then the second time I was at, I don't remember what the concert was. It was either, we didn't have a lot of concerts come through my hometown, so I think it was what was left of Lynyrd Skynyrd. And I had a lot of hairspray in my hair because I liked having the very anime haircut, we'll say, even though I hadn't watched anime at that point. And lady was on her boyfriend's shoulders behind me smoking a J, and dropped said J on my hairspray infested hair, we'll say. Poof. And then I heard someone say, quick, I'll throw my beer on it. And me just thinking alcohol was like, no. And they splashed me with their beer, put the fire out, and now I have to go home and smell like beer to my very conservative mother. That was fun. So both of those were well before I was 18. And then the third time, I don't remember because I passed out, but I'll get back to you on that one. I'll have to think on it, but I know there was a third time. But anyway, that being said, guys, I'm going to stop going on and on about times I've been set on fire. I appreciate everyone who stops through here, especially my two mains here, Shapeshifter and Yanuka. You guys are great. I appreciate all the engagement in the chat. It means the world to me. And honestly, I'd like responding to y'all and answering whatever questions that y'all have. And I think eventually I'm going to have just kind of a loose little bit of things that I'm going to talk about. And then if y'all want to like send me something on X or suggest something, I'll probably incorporate that in here somewhere. And we'll just have a daily chat show with a little bit of information in it. And then eventually, you know, more comedy as I get better at writing and improving stuff. So, but that's all for today, guys. We'll be back on tomorrow. What is today? Wednesday? These 3-day weekends always throw me off. But yeah, that's all gonna be all for today. I appreciate you all very much. I've said that already. But until tomorrow.